Hi, friends. I hope you've been enjoying PsychedelX 2024, whether you're catching this live or maybe as a recording. My name is Stephen Huang. I'm the Director of Social Justice at MAPS, which is the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies. If you don't know, now you know. We are a nonprofit organization that has been around since 1986, working towards a post-prohibition world. And we believe in the legal and equitable access of psychedelics for healing and personal growth. And currently, we do that through incubating cutting edge science, through legislation and policy change, and through shaping the culture around psychedelics and educating the public. And on behalf of the entire MAPS organization, I have to say, I am so proud to be sponsoring this year's PsychedelX conference and the incredible organization behind it, the Intercollegiate Psychedelics Network. In my time working with IPN, I've been honestly so optimistic and hopeful about the future of the psychedelic ecosystem because I can see how IPN values diversity and inclusion in everything that it does. Not just among demographic identities. I see a lot of diversity in how IPN thinks about gender and race and orientation, but also in the lived experiences, the professional interests of the members, and the varied perspectives that surface in the programming and through the events just all year round. MAPS cares really deeply about social justice because, well, it's easy to look back on the past 38 years and point out the problems with the ecosystem. It's always easy to point out the problems, much harder to design solutions to systemic problems. But in the past 38 years, we, the psychedelic ecosystem, have historically faced hurdles in fostering diversity and equity and justice. In 1986, when MAPS was formed, these drugs were incredibly stigmatized. And it would have been much harder to advocate and study these drugs if you were from a marginalized background, if you were a Black woman, if you were a queer or trans person. Advocating for psychedelics took a lot of privilege and the ability to take massive risks. And as a result, the psychedelic ecosystem is not as diverse as it should be. While those risks still exist today, they exist to a lesser degree because so many of our early psychedelic pioneers paved the way for organizations like MAPS and like IPN to exist. But there's still so much work that we have to do at the intersection of psychedelics and social justice. So again, if you are enjoying psychedelics, then I want to impart on you that you are the future of the psychedelic ecosystem. Yes, you, and we need you. And I want to thank IPN for creating a space for a diverse, engaged student and graduate pipeline full of smart, conscious, caring individuals that will ultimately help build this ecosystem along the arc of social justice and the interconnectedness that a lot of us have felt and experienced so deeply on our own. The IPN team did ask me to share a lesson from my time working at MAPS within the psychedelics ecosystem and as my time as a DEI consultant in the psychedelic ecosystem. And I actually wanted to share one of MAPS's principles, which is to see past the paradox. Okay, see past the paradox. And let me explain with an example because it really did take me a while to wrap my head around what it means to see past the paradox. Really at the heart of it is that there are so many varying perspectives within the psychedelics ecosystem. A primary example is Indigenous groups are often pleading for us to slow down and to think about how to embed Indigenous wisdom in our practice. And at the same time, veterans groups are often pleading with us to speed up as their precious lives are being lost every day. So you have to balance these two points of view. The psychedelic ecosystem is often criticized for extracting or removing the spirituality out of a molecule. And the opposite criticism is also often lobbied, that we are often trying to bring spirituality into a Western medical context. And so many orgs like MAPS really have to thread a needle and hold space for both sides to be true. We cannot ignore the indigenous wisdom from where these medicines originate. And as we try to create more safety and access, we will face criticism by regulatory bodies for bringing in indigenous and spiritual perspectives. So, in order to do this work, I implore you to really build the muscle to see past the paradox. If you're going to do this work, you need to be able to hold multiple truths. I encourage you to seek out differing perspectives. Don't throw away opposing ideas if you don't agree with them. I encourage you to speak your mind if you don't agree with something that you are seeing or witnessing. And at the same time, don't be afraid to be wrong, and definitely don't be afraid to change your mind. I encourage you to engage in critical thinking and dialogue, whether it's in the realm of science, policy, harm reduction, therapy, you name it. Stay flexible and be wary of absolutes. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. The last thing I want to encourage you to do as you're watching PsychedelX is please spread the word. Share what you learned. Have a conversation with a friend, a family member, a loved one. In particular, with someone who maybe doesn't understand the potential benefits of the movement, of the work that we're doing. Because you're a member of the psychedelic ecosystem, whether you like it or not. Whether you're a scientist, therapist, accountant, enthusiast, policymaker, you're it. And the future of the psychedelic ecosystem is intersectional, and it requires us to destigmatize these powerful substances. The stigma sucks, not gonna lie. We didn't necessarily create it, but we definitely inherited it. MDMA was scheduled before I was born. That's unfair. But it is up to us to end these false narratives. And it's going to require us to use our privilege. It's going to require us to take strategic risks to do so. But I have never felt more deeply that we can and we will do it. None of us would be here if we didn't believe it was possible. Thank you. Enjoy PsychedelX, and please follow MAPS online on social media as well.